Hey traders, and welcome to Stock Talk on October 11th. And today you're looking at the S&P 500 on the yearly chart SPY. Now, if you guys watched my previous videos, really what we've been seeing is obviously volatility is back, and look at the move that we made today. And this move pretty much, and just giving you guys a perspective of things, this move took out pretty much the gains all the way back to May. Look how fast we are dropping, and the question is, do we have a development of the bottom? Well, remember in yesterday's Stock Talk, I referenced an area of consolidation, right? At the very least, we have to see a green candle that pushes higher. When we fall in significantly, we consolidated at a bottom for several days, hence that was the near-term bottom, and we moved on higher. Today, initially, it was looking okay, right? We saw the NASDAQ pretty much fluctuating in the positive to around neutral, around that area, while the Dow was constantly stuck in the negative. In the end, the support levels gave way, and you guys can see I've removed a lot of the clutter and technical lines on the S&P 500 just to show you where we are. Now, here's the red line. Did we even hold the yearly 150 or 200 period moving averages? No. We gap filled that area, and let me just show you guys. I drew in this box today, showed it to the members on Discord, and you guys can see we gap filled this area, came down, spiked above, and we were just fluctuating in that area before we sold off almost to my next support line around 269.42 before recovering back at the resistance, back to the resistance area or the gap area, and getting rejected and coming back down. Now, here was the deal with the S&P 500, right? When we saw it collapse, right, from the support area today, that was interesting because for some people that was unexpected, right? This is not easy to trade, guys. If you guys are especially swinging something, even if you're shorting or if you're longing a position in terms of general markets, it's not easy. And you guys can see when we broke through the support, it was an impulsive move down, but we had impulsive buyers coming off the 270.36 low back to the resistance. And guys, you guys might be watching this while the market's trading, but this was a very quick move. This was a 1.5% move down and 1.5% move higher, just in a matter of minutes. This is probably, let's see, around an hour's worth of trading. 1.5% move down, 1.5%. Now, the thing about this is I was looking at the close. Where did we close? We closed near the low. Now, you guys can see after market, we are pushing higher. That's interesting, right? We're currently at 273, 38, 43, around the area. That's interesting, but at the close, it wasn't a positive sign. We closed near the low, and and hence we need to take a look at the bigger picture, the 3-year weekly chart showing what. Remember, tomorrow we have earnings coming out from the banks, and right now we are under the 50 period moving average. Hence, tomorrow's close is going to be especially important. If you guys can imagine, if we close below the 50 period moving average, that gives way to significant selling that is likely to occur next week, okay? And and we'll revisit that perhaps tomorrow or over the weekend if that occurs, or if we hold on top of it. But the expectation is that we should hold above the support line. Why is that? We've tested the support once. This is our second time to test the support, right? You guys might say, oh, this is near the support, but it didn't touch the support, right? So I'm expecting this to hold up at the very least on a weekly level. Breaking this level, I think there's trouble ahead. Now, that's something I'm watching closely. So right now, it might look a little convoluted, but I expect a push higher. Now, what can we do tomorrow? right? Let's talk about a scenario in which what could happen tomorrow. Tomorrow, one scenario is we could go back to the support overnight during aftermarket hours, and we'll probably, if we start at that area tomorrow during the trading day, and then make a pretty decent green candle, green push back to the near the resistance area of around 275. That is possible, right? That's possible. The more bearish scenario, in which I don't see it happening, at least not this week, is a gap down below the support level. Gapping down below the support level, we are in big shambles, big trouble by that point, because then we're looking for support levels. If we do gap down, we're looking for support levels at around reaction levels in the low of 260 to 262. Could it happen next week or the next few weeks? Yes, it can. Is it likely to happen tomorrow? No. But it's not out of the equation. I just want to put it into, your thoughts of whether you're going bullish or bearish, shorting or longing at this point, or not taking a position. Just want to give you guys that perspective. So that's where we are on the chart. Now, the one thing that is rather, fascinating about this is what we can also do, right? What we can also do is, you guys can see that if we come down as a red candle, tomorrow we might open higher and push higher. That is possible as well. Okay, so that's also a scenario in which you can evaluate. But regardless, most of my scenarios have us pushing higher tomorrow, or at the very least coming down but ending the day green. We are a little bit not a little bit. We are quite a bit oversold. Now, remember, oversold doesn't mean too much, but we've had 2 down days of really a significant margin or portion. Then we're looking for some sort of recovery, especially when we're at such critical support levels on the 3-year chart. So be on the lookout for that. I want to show you guys a couple of other charts. First, I'll show you guys the Dow Jones, and you guys can see on the yearly chart how today we came down and retested the 150 and the 200 period moving average and kept over it. Now, that shouldn't have been too big of a surprise, because it should act as a support at the very least intraday. Intraday, it should act as a support. You guys can imagine, yes, we've had reactions at this point once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, but right, we're at that level. It should provide a nice support area intraday. We did see it. We dipped below it, but we had buyers pulling us above those critical levels. So let's take a look, zooming out on the 3-year chart, looking at the Dow Jones. What are we doing? We've touched the 50 period moving average, right? 50 period moving average. And did we touch it in the past? It doesn't look like we touched it in the past. So, this time around, we actually touched the 50 period moving average. So, this is a sell-off. Can we continue selling off? Yes, we can, but we're looking for a weekly close at the very least above the 50 period moving average. Same story with the S&P 500, right? We're looking for closes for the S&P 500 above the 50 period moving average. Let's take you guys to the NQs or the NASDAQ. You guys can see, same story. 50 period moving average, we've touched it, so that satisfies that condition. /ES, the S&P, same thing, right? We just talked about SPY. So everything really depends on tomorrow. Okay, not everything, but a good portion of the story now will be developed tomorrow. If we close above it, okay, closing below it, we're going to take a very different stance by next week. So everyone's watching this level, I bet. So there you go. Take a look at volatility. Yeah, of course, another big update for volatility. Looking at intraday, we have $48.10 is where we closed, but look how fast we sold off back to the gap fill area. Now, I think one of the viewers asked me on the chat, and I'll pull that up really quickly, is, does the gap fill area matter, in when we're looking at TVIX? That's a very good question. So thank you for bringing that up. When you're looking at gap fill areas, you're right. It doesn't matter too much, but at the very least, you can take it with a grain of salt in that you're like, okay, that's a gap fill area. You know, we could, it doesn't matter as much as in my opinion, stocks, but it still counts a tad bit. So looking at intraday, you guys can see I put a boxed area yesterday as the gap fill area, and you guys can see, what did we do? We found resistance at the area initially before we came back up. Now you guys can see, now, you know, we spiked over my resistance line 47.23, came back down, and then now we're pretty much at the gap area. Isn't that interesting how we fell towards that area again? So, you know, overall, that's that. But, you know, if I'm looking at these charts, I'm looking at those support levels, and I'm thinking myself, it should hold tomorrow. Based off of those moving averages, it should at least hold for Friday. That's what it's telling me. And, you know, and volatility should be selling off tomorrow at least. But that's what I'm looking for if, of course, we hold over the, you know, moving average as I expected. All right, so let's take a look at... I was going to your tickers, but of course, /CL. If you enjoy these videos, please, once again, please hit the thumbs up button. I highly appreciate everyone watching these videos and talking to me, still reading everyone's comments. You guys can post comments on, you know, down below in the YouTube comment section under the video. So feel free to do that. And, you know, I try to call out your name as well, just to tell you I mentioned you and I talked about your, whatever your comment it was. So thank you for all of your submissions, and keep that coming. If you guys don't like this video, if you feel like these analysis don't help you, then by all means, you know, I hope it helps you in the future. But I'm just trying to, you know, follow the trend, really follow the trend. And hence, here's crude oil, right? Crude oil. And as markets fell, crude oil continued to go on lower. So crude oil is looking for a reversal, right? This is a reversal pattern back to the downside, and now doesn't look too great anymore. Can we, you know, have in really obligatory bounce up from the near-term support if the markets do push higher? Yes, it can. Yes, it can. And we are a little overextended over the 20-period moving average, but the momentum is now being pushed to the downside, and hence, you know, if you guys are looking to possibly, if you aren't already, I think some of you are already in here, but if you aren't already looking at it, you know, DWT would be the ticker that goes inverse crude oil. So as crude oil pushes lower, DWT would be pushing higher. Again, these are not suggestions in terms of investing, but these are ones if you're interested in. You guys can see how much it has moved up the past few days as the markets were dipping. You saw inverse crude oil today went up over 8%, just going, you know, to the intraday chart, a pretty much steady uptrend. That's something to note. It might fall tomorrow as markets push higher. You know, this might fall tomorrow. So, you know, that's just something to take with a grain of salt. But that's crude oil for you guys. Looks like it's reversing back to the downside, really forced by the stock market, forced by the markets, because the markets are selling off so dramatically. Let's take a look at /NG and natural gas. Natural gas, right? Let's take a look at the yearly chart. So natural gas, I talked to you guys about natural gas being bullish, right? Why was it bullish? Well, the reason is, you know, sure, we were overextended, but we were moving. Our momentum is still being pushed to the upside, and you know, my analysis isn't going to change based off of today. Today we came down, retested support, bounced right off of the support, and even though we sold off just a tad bit, overall this doesn't look too bad for natural gas, right? The natural gas looks like it wants to push higher, and so if it wants to push higher, our resistance area is around 3.400 to 3.414, around that range. Look for natural gas to have that resistance, but this is continuing to move higher, hence it looks good. And this is why I talk to you guys when you guys are looking at ETFs. You know, when it's coming down, you're like, oh my gosh, natural gas is going to go down. So you guys can imagine, if you were in natural gas and, you know, you were in half day and you were looking at this candle, at one period of time, this red candle was completely filled all the way back to the bottom, right? And now it looks so much more different at the end of the day. So, you know, that's ETFs for you guys. And hence, you know, the ETFs, a little riskier to trade, but if you consistently done it well, you know, by all means, go for it. So that's /NG for you guys. Everyone wants to talk about /GC, and there is the impulsive move over the 12-11, 12-12 resistance level, and hence we obviously are now bullish into Forex/GC or gold. Gold is looking strong. All of a sudden, can it come back and retrace some of the movement and possibly even retest the 12-12 or 12-20 area, 8 points lower from now? Yes, it can, right? Yes, it can. So gold, long term is looking good. Short term might be a little overextended, but you know, this is looking good. And in my opinion, you know, if you're interested in gold, you know, the ticker to watch would be JNUG. Today up over 18% at $8.95. This was the move that I was looking for, right? Impulsive move, no stuttering, just pretty much with high volume up. And this is what we did today. There you go, guys. And we've been talking about the gold, right? It's interesting because we've been talking about it for the past like month, the same thing over and over again, and finally it has occurred on October 11th. So JNUG, you know, potentially a little lower tomorrow, potentially could go higher, but the long-term trend for gold should be bullish as we move on forward. So there you go, guys. JNUG, here it is. All right, so let's take a look at a couple of your tickers. I think one of you guys wanted me to take a look at silver. Oh, so Ben, I tackled your gold comment. So thank you, Ben, for your comment, and hopefully that helped. Trader Princess, can you please take a look at Square? Yeah, sure. So Square, Trader Princess. Okay, Square. So you guys have to think on a day like this, when, yes, some stocks went down, but some of the stocks went higher. Not everyone participated in this down move. Okay? That's interesting. But Square, you know, in whatever news that came, I think something came out at the end of the day yesterday, which left this move, right, is no longer looking good, right? You know, down, how much was it down yesterday? It was down like definitely over 5%, I believe. But then today, down another 10%. No can do, right? Looking at the yearly chart, how can you even trade this pattern at this point, right? Square, there's no way in which we can trade this pattern at the moment until what? Consolidation. This move occurred within just a couple of days, right? When this move occurs in such a large magnitude relative to all the other stocks, something else is awry, and hence you gotta stay away until we see consolidation, and this might take weeks to occur. Okay, I know earnings are coming up, that might change a little bit, but you know, this is not a good move, not a healthy move for this stock. It's pretty much retracing almost all the gains that were made since August. No can do. But thank you, Trader Princess, for your comment. Rizwan, oil down. Yep, oil is down. So let me like your comments as well. Yarvin, can I thank you, Kevin, for another great video. Can I take a look at USLV? So as you guys know, yeah, so we're talking about silver, right? Yeah, /SI. Now, silver doesn't look as good as gold. Looking at silver, what do you guys see? Yes, we have, you know, a short-term move to the upside, but we are still bogged down at this resistance area of 14.690. You know, until we can, at the very least, close above that level, we're still getting really, you know, here's the 50-period moving average for all intents and purposes. So we did close a slightly above it, but we do have a resistance level around that area. No. Silver doesn't look as good as gold. So USLV is probably painting the similar picture, right? If you look at this chart, you're like, man, is this going to go higher? And you know, this pattern doesn't tell us that it's going to go higher. This pattern, if I looked at this pattern, is going to play out to the downside. So just be careful on that one. Then that's just my opinion. If we have a more definitive move higher, like gold did, sure, by all means, we'll look into USLV by that point. Connor, you're holding puts, sold on all contracts, and left some on the table, but still a great day. Congratulations, guys. If you guys can manage your risk in this volatile environment, you can certainly and potentially make, you know, quite a bit of money just fluctuating, you know, back and forth, following the trend. But you know, this is, in my opinion, you have to have experience in the past in this kind of market in order to be successful now. Otherwise, you know, it's difficult, especially if you're the person who kind of always kind of checks your account and goes back and forth and like, oh, what's my stock doing now? What's my ETF doing now? You know, those are the times in which you might not feel good, because if you don't, especially this is your first time being in this scenario. So, you know, thank you for your, yeah. All right. So Brooke, thank you for your comment. You're welcome. Chris, you love watching the recap. Great to have you here. I'm up 100% year to date after today's sell-off, and I hope to be up more after listening to you. So yeah, so appreciate you watching. Mario, yeah, what a ride. Paul, thank you for your comment. It's all about greed versus fear in the markets. McCombs, Synthartis, talked about TVIX and the gap fill. Rocky Giants, everyone. Okay, guys, thank you everyone for all of your comments. I think that is everything except one more. MLPDX. So what is this? This doesn't look right. So this is, you know, I don't even think, is this even tradable? So K9, can't do it. This is not a regular chart pattern. So this looks rather strange. So K9, I won't tackle that one, but thank you everyone for your comments. We will have a very interesting day to see tomorrow, because where the S&P 500 is situated at on the 3-year chart, right? We talked about that. Looking at futures right now, we are seeing some massive moves higher, I believe. Or, well, not massive, but we're seeing some moves higher. Now, one more thing that I didn't point out, I guess this is a bonus for you guys. Here's the S&P 500, and then 1 minute chart. We are pushing a little bit higher. Now, the one thing about this for you guys is, you know, the question is, are we going to come down at some point and retest this level? You betcha. If we go higher tomorrow and next week we do actually push a little higher, at some point we are going to get very close to the 50-period moving average, in my opinion, in the next week to few weeks, and we'll get down back to that area and retest that area. The only thing that looks kind of strange right now is we don't have any signals of an uptrend. Yes, we're going up on the, you know, after market today, but that's after market. We still don't see a green candle. So right now the charts look a little bogged down with just heavy selling to the downside, but looking for some support at that area as I talked about. In the meantime, happy trading. Hopefully you guys are still having good trading days, or if you're not trading, that's perfectly fine as well, I think. And in the meantime, please take care. See you guys in the weekend stock talk. All right.